Hello, and welcome to this edition of Meet the Writers. My name is Shannon Combs Bennett. I'm the creative director for the In-Depth Genealogist. With me today is Michelle Goodrum, who writes our Timeless Territories column and is the author of our book, Digging for Ancestors. Welcome, Michelle. How are you today?
I'm doing great, and I'm just thrilled to be here.
Great. We're really glad that you could join us today to tell us a little bit more about what you write and who you are. For those of the people in the audience who haven't started reading the subscription magazine or your book or are not familiar with your name, could you give us a little background about who you are, if you have a blog, or how you got started?
Well, I got started in genealogy with a junior high school project, and at the time I was interested because all of my ancestors are from so many different places. And then when I got married to my husband, I went to a family reunion and started interviewing his family and discovered that they never really moved around. They mostly were in Kentucky and Indiana. So it was just the opposite of me. So I just kind of got that little seed planted. And I didn't start researching until the early 1990s. I have a blog. It's called The Turning of Generations, and it's the address is turning-of-generations.blogspot.com. And I write about a variety of topics there, but I originally got started because I inherited 130 years of my ancestors' history from various grandparents and great-grandparents.
Oh, wow.
So I need to organize it, and I wanted to share some of those things. So that's how I got started with my blog. I'm really big on education, and so I've found the more I get into genealogy, the more I enjoy going to institutes. I took the Boston University online course last fall.
Yay,
and yeah, you're another graduate. And I administer the GenProof study groups, Mastering Genealogical Proof, or studying the book, Mastering Genealogical Proof by Tom Jones. I think it's a great book. I've learned a lot from it, and I just really like getting that education out there for people.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. Genealogy is all about self-education, and there are some programs out there that you can do for certificates or advanced studies, but a lot of it is just picking up a book and learning on your own or attending conferences and workshops. So it's really important.
And then you have to go home and put it into practice. That's even more important.
Yeah, and sometimes that can be the hard part for a lot of people, is the actually taking the information they learn and assimilating it into their own genealogical research. So
And that's also the fun part.
I think so.
Yeah.
So in your column, you talk about land records. Now, I am sort of familiar with land records. I've been able to research them a little bit myself and find some bounties and various land records for my ancestors. But could you tell us a little bit, is it all across the U.S., or do you concentrate on federal, or do you do all types of land records from various government levels?
So far, I would say I've concentrated more on federal, but I'm really trying over time to hit a lot of the different topics that any researcher is going to need to be able to research in land records, from learning how to use indexes at the recorder's office to analyzing the deeds that you get, and just all kinds of information that you'll need. It's such a broad topic that I think I'll be writing about it for years.
Yes. I think you will be, because I'm not sure that you could. Not that it's a very large, I'm missing my words today. It's just a large collection. There are all different types and all different sources. And it's true that there are two different types of land records on the federal level, right? You have basically the East Coast, and then the Western territory.
Well, that's really more where those records are stored, but you also deal with the state land states, and those are the original 13 colonies and some other states like the offshoots. And those records I mean, you could write an individual book about each different state because they're all different. It's, the federal records are they're kind of one record group, and then, Pennsylvania land records are going to be another group, and New York or another group, because those were colonies, and those records are kept in different places, and they were developed in different ways.
Yeah, the East Coast likes to be funny.
Well, they didn't know what they were doing back then. It was just a bunch of people that kind of landed there and started their farms, and then, oh yeah, they started a new country. So,
yeah.
They had to kind of conglomerate everything together and get it organized. So
I have to admit, even as a child, I realized driving across country from the Midwest to the East Coast, where in the Midwest everything was nice squares.
Yes.
And the roads were grids, and everything
yes.
was nice and orderly. And then getting out to the East Coast and saying, I don't know, what is this? Everything meanders, and there's this and there's that, and yeah.
Yeah, very confusing.
Yes, people can tell, right? Very, very quickly.
Oh yeah. And if you're in an airplane, you can really tell.
Yes, you can.
Yeah, you really can.
I think it's one of the most fun things to do, though, from an airplane, is to look at the patterns and the grids as you go across.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the book you wrote, and here's a copy of it, Digging for Ancestors by Michelle Goodrum. I just noticed that it was backwards on my screen. Sorry about that. I'll make sure to have a actual copy put out somewhere else. It covers a lot of the basic information that a person would need to get started in researching land records, correct?
Correct. And I've more emphasized the federal land states than the state land states in this book, just because the state land states, every one of them is different. So,
right. It goes back to them having to be funny with their own rules, right?
Yes.
The thing I really like about this, and I have to compliment you on, is there are a lot of copies of original land records in here. Now, are these all, I'm just curious, are these all from your personal collection, or did you go out and find a lot of these for the book?
Most of them I went out and found for the book, the
Wow.
majority of them, yes. And part of the reason I did that is I want to get people who haven't used land records, and I know there's a lot of people that have been researching for a while that haven't used land records. I want to get them excited about it. And I think, it's the show, don't tell aspect of, look at, here's an example of what you can find and what these records can tell you.
Right. And, I'm a very visual person, so I really appreciated that you did that, because I like to be able to see what a person is trying to tell me, I guess, seeing the record, looking at the way it was laid out, how the information was put on it, visually, just looking at the image is very helpful to me. And I know it can be a great educational experience as well, especially since I may not ever actually see one of these records in person if it's not for my family.
Yeah.
Is there a second book maybe coming? Are you toying with the idea? I don't know. That's why I'm asking.
I am toying with it. The more immediate goal is to put out an updated version of Digging for Ancestors.
Great.
And I do have some ideas for products for the future as well, yes.
Great. That way people can keep their eyes open for that.
Yes.
Now, I should let everybody know that if you're interested in learning more about this book, Digging for Ancestors, you can find it on our store at the In-Depth Genealogist website. It is available as this is a printed paper copy, but you can also have it downloaded as a digital download for your e-reader, and you can also have it as a PDF download. So there are options out there depending on if you have to have it in paper or you don't mind it being digital. So before we close this afternoon, Michelle, Is there any one resource, website, book? Is there something that you think people who are going to be doing more research in land records should have on their shelf? Of course, besides your book.
But besides my book, I would recommend Locating Your Roots, and I have a copy sitting right
Oh,
here.
perfect.
Locating Your Roots by Pat Law Hatcher. I'm in love with this book. It really steps you through a lot of different aspects of land records, and especially if you're just getting started, it'll be really helpful for you.
Great. Thank you so much for sharing that. I will have to go check that out myself because I've actually never heard of that book. I like
Oh, it's
finding about new resources.
by Pat Law Hatcher, yes.
Perfect. I love new resources. It makes my bookshelf groan.
I'm running out.
Yeah, me too.
I have to build more bookshelves.
Yeah, me too. But thank you again, Michelle, for joining us today. I really appreciate you taking time out of your busy schedule to spend a few minutes to talk to us.
Well, thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. And for those of you watching today, don't forget to go out to our website, check us out, www.theinDepthGenealogist.com, where you can read more from Michelle. She also writes a blog for us on various topics from month to month. And you can also subscribe for our new digital magazine, which comes out on the 15th of every month. Thanks for stopping by. Have a great day.